Hey everybody, Adam here from True North RC coming at you today. No Chad today, just me. I'm hanging out down in my RC room in my house, and I thought I'd answer a few questions that came in to us from the last video with the Jeeps we had built. So mainly everybody was asking us about how we get the textured finish for our rock guard. So I thought I'd do a quick tutorial today to show you guys how we do it. By no means is it the only way to do it. This is just kind of the way Chad and I have settled on for the last couple of months, and a way that works well for us. Here's a Jeep Angry grill. You can get a quick gander. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a rock guard texture on there. It's that rough, porous looking texture. We commonly use it on our Jeeps, especially our fenders. Anywhere that we want to have that kind of rugged, rough look. So like I said, numerous ways to do it. When I first started out, I just used to use flat black paint and a finely ground salt or a sugar, actually. And I would typically do it with my airbrush, and I would put a couple of layers of flat black down just to give a bit of texture on the item I was rock guarding. The second coat, typically, I would do a bit heavier, and I would take some of the ground up fine salt, sugar, whatever you want to use, and I would mix it into the paint after I've laid the paint down and just sprinkle it on top. Let it dry and do another coat, and you could get a rough texture out of it that way. It's kind of hard to control the texture a little bit. It get a little lumpy, or you get the salt or the sugar a little bit too damp from the paint, and then it would dissolve away. It worked. We figured there had to be a better way, so we kind of played around with a lot of the real rock guard, and where I kind of settled on was this Rust-Oleum truck bed liner. Just a standard flat black truck bed liner, really good stuff. I was able to figure out a method to get a really fine looking particulate that shows up, so you get that real scale looking rock guard, not like a really thick lumpy rock guard that sometimes you see. So I'm going to walk you through how we do it here, and maybe you'll pick up a tip or two, and hopefully it helps out. So first couple of things you're going to need is your supplies. So get your rock guard, whatever you choose. Like I said, I like the Rust-Oleum brand. I like to use the Tamiya 6mm tape for marking off my body lines. I'll also use the green painter's tape because this stuff is a lot more expensive than this stuff when it comes to painting. They're taping a whole body over. The other thing you want to have on hand, of course, is a sharp hobby blade. Make sure it's a sharp blade. We all know what happens when you use a dull blade. You tend to scratch and rip the paint apart more than you cut the tape. And the last thing you can use, I don't have one in front of me, but is sheets of paper, and I'll show you why I'll use sheets of paper later on as well. So first thing we got to do, guys, is grab our body. I just so happen to have Chad's Project Brute body right now with me. So I'm going to do some tape work on it, and what we're going to do is tape up the fenders. I'm going to be rock guarding the bay, or the bed area. Going to be rock guarding the top as well. So hang tight. Let me get one of these fenders taped up, and I'll be right back. So I got the first body line taped off. On this one, it's going to be the fender. So what I'm trying to do is tape off the fender. Everything that's exposed on the fender is going to be rock guarded. Everything against the side of the bed, I do not want to have any paint on. So my first step is, like I said, I like to use the Tamiya 6mm tape to edge it. When you edge it all the way around, it's going to be hard in some of the corners, like this corner here, to get the tape to contour. So I'll just take my X-Acto blade after I've contoured it, and I'll go and I'll just trim out that body line a little bit. So that's first step. I got to go and do the rest of the fenders, and then I'll check back in with you shortly. Alright, so I got all my tape roughing done. On this one, I'm going to be doing the front bumper as well. I can't detach the bumper because of how we have the mounting system. The bumper is permanently affixed to the body. So I got all my rough taping done all the way around. I got to go in now with my green painter's tape and some paper and finish it off. One thing I think I forgot to mention, though, is when you're going to rock guard, you got to remember it's no different than painting. So you got to do quite a bit of body prep to the body. You know, make sure you clean it, make sure you wash it, get any contaminants off. You go to start laying down the rust coat, or sorry, the truck bed coating, and you've got dust and dirt and so forth on your rig still. You haven't cleaned it off. It's going to be no different than paint. It's going to start lifting. You're going to get bubbling. So make sure you spend a few minutes, wipe it down with I'll use a wet rag, and I'll just tack it right afterwards and get it nice and dry. Make sure there's no oils and greases and all that fun stuff as well. So I'm going to go lay down the green tape and the paper, and I'll check back in with you when she's ready to go. Alright, so we got her all taped up, as you can see. All the way around. Anywhere I don't want the rock guard, obviously I'm going to tape off. A couple of things. So the paper. I'm cheap. I'll use paper depending on what the build is to help fill in areas, big areas that I don't want to run all the tape across. Disclaimer, keep in mind that it's just paper, right? So if you're going to be putting wet coats down or heavy coats, paper may absorb it, it may transfer to what's underneath. So in all cases, paper's not the greatest. I know where I'm going to be putting the rock guard. I know where I'm going to be spraying it, so I'm not concerned it's going to transfer through the paper. The other thing to keep in mind too is on this rig here, we've already got it wired up for lighting and a few other things, a winch. So I don't want to be getting the rock guard up underneath, so I did go ahead and put tape on the inside of the wheel wells. And when I lay it flat, it should protect the inside of the vehicle. So that's it. That's all. I'm going to go and lay down some paint, and I'll check back in with you in a minute. All right, so here we are. Keep in mind, this is just my rough painting area. I do my rock garden here if I got to do some guide coats with primer. So it's a bit dusty and dirty, but I'm not concerned about that right now. The other thing is this stuff, it's got all the fancy dancy warning labels, so be sure you're wearing a respirator or something and do it in a very well aired out area. So basically, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the can and I'm going to do small little bursts from about 18 to 20 inches away from the unit or the model itself. So something like this, and that would be a burst. So I'm just going to work my way around really quickly. And that's it, just little bursts. You're gonna get some texture starting to build up. You're gonna have some areas where you didn't get very good coverage. For your first coat, that's fine. Let the first coat get tacked, wait about 10 minutes, and you're gonna do a second coat the exact same way. So I'll check back in a minute. All right, we're back here. Sorry for the video quality. I don't have a tripod in the garage quite yet, but you can see from the first coat here, we started building a little bit of texture. You can still see some of the green coming through. So the second coat we're about to lay down here is going to be more of a filler coat. So we want to make sure we get all of the color covered over that we have and keep building on that texture. So again, short little bursts from about 18 inches away, and I'll check back in as soon as I have this done. All right, so the second coat's done. You can see that I've got a nice even coverage all the way around the body now, which is exactly what we want. I started building off on that texture as well. As it dries, the texture will look more predominant. On this one, I don't think I need a third coat. I'm pretty satisfied with the coverage on 2 coats up into the bed as well. And so what I'm going to do is let this air out. Probably going to sit for a good 35 to 40 minutes before I try to take any of the tape off of it. So we'll let it dry, get all tacked. I'll take the tape off to make sure I don't have any bleed through. And then, yeah, we'll check back in with you then. All right, so after my second coat, I allowed it to cure or tack up for about 30 minutes, and then I removed all the tape. I'll let it sit 30 to 45 minutes before I remove the tape. I've had issues in the past where I've left the tape too long, and it became very difficult to remove the tape as the rock guard cured on it, so 30 minutes seems to be good. As you can see though, so there's our bed. It's kind of hard to see, but we got some nice texture in there. Same thing with the fenders. We've got some nice texture. I went ahead and did the rock guard around the rear tail lights. Chad wanted that done. And then the front bumper as well. So front bumper looks a little rough. This is a already used body, and I sanded it a little bit, but as with these Jeep bodies, they tend to get gouged out. So there you have it, guys. Not a lot to it. Take your time. You know, try it out. Try to develop a new skill. Try to add a bit more detail to your vehicle. Keep in mind that this stuff is not overly forgiving, so once you've applied it and you've let it cure and set up, it's pretty difficult to remove it. So take your time taping, take your time prepping, and yeah, just go out there and try something new. See you guys. Have a good one.